Hey everybody, it's Julie. Thanks for joining me here today. This is actually a bonus video. It wasn't planned originally, but I wanted to share this stencil. It is called the Aperture Stencil, and it is in the Creative Retreat shop, and it's listed with this Remarkably Vivid collection. It is so much fun. I'm also going to be using the Victory stamp set and some of the products from the Remarkably Vivid collection, the Faith-Filled Digitals and the Faith Art Box. Now I am prepping my page with some white gesso because I have a lot on the back of my page that I don't want to show through, and also I don't want anything from this page to bleed through onto the back on the entry that I have there. I'm marking my verses off, and I'll talk about those in just a moment. That was with my Pitt big brush marker. And now I'm really going to be doing a mixed media page here. I'm using a ZIG Two-way Glue Pen to make a temporary adhesion on the back of my stencil so that it will stay in place as I'm inking it up and it won't move all around. I'm using some inks from Creative Retreat and also one from Studio Calico that match really well, and these blending brushes. I will link all of the products that I've used in the description box. I'm using some sticky notes to block off the areas that I do not want to get inked up, because I'm doing some color blocking here. So the sticky notes serve as a mask, and you can just see I move them as I need to. I'm going to do a few of these color blocked apertures. This stencil is the Aperture Stencil, and an aperture is a small opening, and when it relates to photography or our eyes, we have an aperture in our eye as well. It is an opening that allows light in. Now I'll talk about that, but let me just explain again on screen here. I'm inking up the different areas of this Aperture Stencil. Now this is the waterfall color, and it reacted differently with the gesso. It came out lighter than I was expecting than when I practiced it. So I'm doing some color blending here, and this is one of the new colors from the Creative Retreat shop called Bluebird, and it's a very, very pretty color. So I'm actually mixing those two colors, the waterfall and Bluebird. And you can see again, I just moved the sticky notes. It's a temporary adhesion, just like what I created using the ZIG Two-way Glue Pen on the back of my stencil. And I'm moving those all around because I don't want any of the colors to blend here. Now I'm going to do that in 3 different places. I'm speeding this up. This page actually took me a very long time. It's like when you go to a potluck and you start with just one thing on your plate, and then it just keeps growing and growing. And that's what happened with this page, but I had so much fun creating it. So now I'm going to use this stencil with my Zebra Mild Lighter pens, and I used 3 different colors that I thought matched this kit, and now I'm just doing an outline. So I'm doing a variation with this stencil between a colored outline, a black outline with just a black precision pen, and also those the color blocked that I inked with. And then I will also create an aperture that I will cut out, and that will be my center focal piece, and I'm going to do some paper piecing on this. So again, this page was really a mixed media fest. It was a lot of fun. Let me go ahead and talk about the passage, because that's what's so important, and that's where I got this idea for this page. In the devotional, it lists Matthew 6:22 and 23 as some key verses, and so I did some study on that, and I really wanted to share with you what the Lord showed me. It says, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness?" This whole devotional, we're talking about our vision and our focus. And this world presents so many things that can get our focus off of God, that can take our vision and blur it and make it unclear. So that's kind of why I'm doing all of these images here to represent kind of the chaos and the overstimulation that this world can provide. Satan wants to take our attention and our focus off of Jesus. But if our eye, and this is in the Greek, it's our mind's eye, what our focus is, what our vision is. The eye is the lamp of the body. It's what illuminates the rest of us. It illuminates what we perceive, but also it shows the light shining out of us as well. So I liked that double meaning there. If your eyes are healthy, now in the original term here, healthy means single. The word is hapless. It means simple, single, and undivided and single. And it reminded me, I just had an appointment at the eye doctor, had to get some new glasses, had to have a new exam, and they do that test where things are blurry and then they bring it into focus. You're seeing kind of double visioned and almost triple visioned. You're just seeing all this blur, and then it comes into this single focus. That's exactly what this word here is referring to. If our eyes are healthy, if our focus is single, if our vision is single, then it's clear, and then our whole body will be full of light. But if our eyes are unhealthy, then our whole body is full of darkness. Unhealthy here doesn't mean what we think of as unhealthy. It actually means troublesome, causing trouble. It means bad, poor, like a poor eyesight, but it causes pain and trouble. On screen here's where I'm making the aperture that I'm going to actually cut out. So I'm using two different designer papers from the Faith-Filled Digitals and the backing of the devotional, and I'm going to cut out some of those pieces and mix them and make an aperture that's going to sit on top of all of these apertures, all of this background, and I'm going to cut that out. I'm using my tape runner adhesive to apply those down, and then I'll cut that out and give it a black outline using my Pitt big brush marker, because I really felt like the black was necessary, and you'll see that that's going to help. Back to the passage, we need to look at the context of all of this. This is chapter 6 of Matthew, where Jesus is preaching in the Sermon on the Mount, and he talks just before this passage about where are our treasures. Are our treasures in heaven, or are they here on this earth? We did a study on that, I think, back in January. And so that's first. Where are our treasures? They need to be on eternal things, not earthly things. And then we have this passage, 22 and 23, that talks about our eyes being healthy or unhealthy. And then, right after that, comes the passage, and this is what really sealed it for me. It was like a wow moment. No one can serve two masters. Either you hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Some versions call it money. Mammon really is the word for where our treasure is, a person, what they trust in, what is their treasure. So it can be wealth, it can be money, it can be possessions, it can be riches, it can be property, it can be whatever we are focusing on. That is mammon. And we cannot serve both mammon and God. That's being double visioned. And the word serve is we become slaves to whatever we are allowing into our eyes, whatever we are beholding, whatever we are focusing on. We become slaves to that. And we cannot be both a slave to God, which we want to be, and a slave to things of this earth. We need to be single visioned, simply, undividedly, single visioned for Jesus and focused on Jesus. Okay, so there's my aperture. I've cut it out, and I've used some foam adhesive to give it some dimensional, and that's going to pop it off the page. And now I'm using the Victory stamp set, which is in the Creative Retreat shop, and I'm stamping out single visioned. And then I have a little journaling card that I've typed up, ran it through my typewriter, and I typed up the word study for that word, healthy. The word was hapless, and I put the definition there. Now I am making a straight line with a pencil, and I'll erase that, and I'm stamping the word single. Now here's the problem that I found. One reason why I don't typically like to use gesso is it has a different reaction with the mediums. Like I said, with the ink color, also with watercolors, different things. But as long as you're comfortable with that, then it's fine. But like with this ink, I used my Memento black ink, which I thought was going to work on the gesso. When you're using a pigment ink, it tends to stay wet longer and you can smear it. I did dry it with my heat tool, but I really should have used the StazOn black ink. I had so much gesso on here and it was hard to get that black ink dried, and I end up smearing it some. But it works. It works because I do splattering and it's that whole mixed media look, so it's really not noticeable. Now I'm using my stickers to spell out always be single visioned. I put on Jesus, and I end up changing that for Jesus. Yes, we want to be focused on Jesus, but because I said single visioned, I changed it to on Jesus. And now I'm adding some of the faith-filled digitals and some of the stickers from the Faith Art box to give me that camera up at the top. And I'm outlining my verses, I'm outlining my elements to make them stand out a little bit more on that background. Now I use my Studio Calico Mega Date Stamper, which that big bold stamp was great for this big bold page. And I decided I wanted to add a little bit more stamping. I should have done this before I added all the other elements, but it works. So I'm going to stamp some eyeglasses from the stamp set in the Faith Art box, and also I'm going to use that camera and just make them random, use some of the different colors. I'm adding to that mixed media look. I'm just building up this whole page and the process, and also that chaotic look, which helps me then to singly focus in, or it gives me that impression that I need to singly focus in on Jesus. Now, in the middle of that aperture was a sticker from the Faith Art box that says, "Fix your eyes on Jesus." That right there is really what gave me the idea of this page, because I knew that size was going to fit right in the middle of that aperture stencil, and it did perfectly. Fix my eyes on Jesus. If that's the center of my focus, then I'm going to be okay. Then I'm going to be able to stay devoted to Jesus. I'm going to be able to stay true to him. And another thing that really stuck out with me is in that word serving in Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and mammon. The word serve means to obey, to follow, but with action. It's a deliberate choice of where we are devoted, and it plays out in our actions and in what we do. And then that's going to show to everyone else. That's where our ministry is going to be. It's either going to be a positive influence or a negative influence. So being singly visioned for Jesus is so important. I'm doing my journaling over on the opposite page because I didn't have any room on that page. But this is my interleave Bible, so I had an entire page to do my art, and then I journaled on the other side. And what I say is, may I always be singly, simply, and undividedly focused on Jesus and things above. Okay, so now I'm adding just some more of those elements. I'm adding a tab up at the top that says focused. I decided I wanted to add a few of these flourish pieces from the stickers, just some of the florals, just to really add to the images here, the mixed media look. When you're doing mixed media, sometimes the more the better. Not always. So I always, you see me playing around here with the placement. I want to have balance. I don't want anything to overwhelm anything else. I decide to put that camera in. I'm going to tuck that in behind the aperture, and I end up tucking it also behind that little journaling card. Right now I just put it on top, but I will tuck it behind it. And I have some of the flowers. I'm going to put them up towards the top. I've already cut all these out, and I'm just trying to actually use some of them up. About the digitals is that you can print them and use them up and print some more. I think I may print them and make a faith planner outline. I mean a faith planner spread with it. I'm using my EK Success powder tool to get that adhesive off of the back of some of those elements that are exposed, that are poking out, like the tab up at the top. Adding just a few more little stickers here and there to bring the other side of the page into this whole spread. And I do end up, you can see it still says on, I do end up changing that to For Jesus, and I come in and use my tiny attacher stapler to attach the tabs up at the top. I'm cutting off the edges that are sticking out, outlining a few elements, and now I'm actually, that word focused on my tab, you couldn't see it, so it was in yellow, so I come back over it with black, and I think that helps. I'm going to add a little hyphen to my word to make it one word, single visioned. That is my page. Yes, it was a lot, and it took me a while because it kept growing, but I had such a fun time doing this page and focusing on Jesus and the passage. Here are some still shots. I do have all of my products linked in the description box. Be sure to check out all the other videos in this playlist that I have linked that'll pop up at the end, because the gals on the team have made some amazing videos and there's still more to come. I pray that you can stay single visioned on Jesus. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.